Welcome to Lesson 2 of Story-Based English. In this lesson, we have an adventure story for you. A young woman named Lena finds something very interesting inside an old book. By the end of this lesson, you will know 10 new vocabulary words, and you will understand how to use defining relative clauses with who, that, which, and where. These are the clauses that give essential information about a person, thing, or place. Let's get started.
Okay, here is our first sentence. Listen carefully. Lena, who loved old books, stumbled upon a dusty shop that sold second-hand novels. Let me read that one more time. Lena, who loved old books, stumbled upon a dusty shop that sold second-hand novels. All right, this is a rich sentence to start with. Let's look at the phrase stumbled upon. To stumble upon something means to find it by accident, without looking for it. Lena was not searching for this bookshop. She just found it while walking. It was a happy accident. Think of a time when you found something interesting by accident. Maybe a nice restaurant or a beautiful park. You stumbled upon it. Now, the second word is dusty. When something is dusty, it has a thin layer of dust on it. Dust is the tiny gray or brown particles that collect on things that have not been cleaned for a while. A dusty shop is an old shop that has not been cleaned much. It adds to the atmosphere of mystery. Now, here is the big grammar point for this lesson. Look at this part, who loved old books. This is a defining relative clause. It tells us essential information about Lena. Which Lena? The Lena who loved old books. Without this clause, we would not know which person we are talking about. The word who is a relative pronoun. We use who when we talk about people. The structure is noun plus who plus the rest of the information. Lena, who loved old books. The girl who lived next door. My friend who speaks 3 languages. And notice, this sentence also has that sold secondhand novels. That is another relative pronoun, but for things and places. We will look at that more closely in the next sentence. Can you make a sentence about yourself using who? For example, I am a person who loves learning English. Try it. Great start. Lena has found an interesting shop. Now let's see what she discovers inside. Here is sentence 2. Inside one of the books, she found a faded map that showed a route through the mountains. One more time. Inside one of the books, she found a faded map that showed a route through the mountains.
Oh, this is exciting. The adventure begins. Let's look at the word faded. When something is faded, its color has become lighter or weaker over time. An old photograph can be faded. An old map can be faded. The colors that were once bright have become pale. Faded tells us this map is old. It has been inside that book for a very long time. Now, the second word is route. A route is a way or path from one place to another. When you use a map on your phone, it shows you a route. This map shows a route through the mountains. Be careful with the pronunciation. In British English, it sounds like route. In American English, some people say route. Both are correct. Now, the grammar. Look at a faded map that showed a route. Here we have another defining relative clause, but this time with that instead of who. Why? Because we are talking about a thing, not a person. The map is a thing. That showed a route tells us which map, not just any map. The map that showed a route through the mountains. The clause defines the map. So remember, who for people, that for things. Both create defining relative clauses. Can you make your own example? How about, I read a book that changed my life. Perfect structure.
Wonderful. Lena has found a mysterious map. But who does it belong to? Let's read on. Here is sentence 3. Lena was intrigued by the map, which had symbols that belonged to an old explorers society. Let me read it again. Lena was intrigued by the map, which had symbols that belonged to an old explorers society. Now here is where the mystery deepens. Let's look at the word intrigued. When you are intrigued by something, you are very curious about it. It has caught your attention, and you want to know more. Lena looked at the map and thought, "What is this? I need to find out more." That feeling is being intrigued. It is a stronger word than just interested. Intrigued has a sense of mystery and excitement. Now let's look at belonged to. When something belongs to someone, it is theirs. It is their property. The symbols on the map belonged to an old explorers society. They were the society's special marks. And notice, an explorers society. This tells us there is an old group of people who went on adventures and explorations. Very exciting. Now the grammar. Look at which had symbols. Here we have a relative clause with which. We use which for things, just like that. But which is often used in more formal or written English, and it can also be used in non-defining clauses. In this sentence, which had symbols gives us extra information about the map. And inside that clause, we have another that clause, symbols that belonged to. So we actually have two relative clauses in one sentence. The map, which had symbols, and those symbols that belonged to a society. Can you spot both clauses? Great work. Okay, let's pause for a quick review. We are halfway through our story. So far, we have learned 3 types of relative clauses. Do you remember which relative pronoun we use for people? Right, who. And for things? That or which. We have also learned some great vocabulary. What does stumbled upon mean? Exactly, to find something by accident. And intrigued? Very curious and interested. You are doing really well. Let's continue and see what Lena does with this mysterious map. Let's continue. Here is sentence 4. She traced the route on the map and recognized several landmarks that still existed today. One more time. She traced the route on the map and recognized several landmarks that still existed today. Oh, this is such a great sentence. The story is moving forward. Let's look at the word traced. When you trace something, you follow its outline or path carefully with your finger or eyes. Lena ran her finger along the route on the map, following it from start to end. That is tracing. You can also trace a drawing by putting paper on top and following the lines underneath. Same idea. You follow a path carefully. Now, the second word is landmark. A landmark is a well-known feature or building in a place that helps you know where you are. The Eiffel Tower is a landmark in Paris. Big Ben is a landmark in London. Mountains, rivers, and old buildings can all be landmarks. In this story, the landmarks on the old map still exist today. That means the map is real and the places are real. Now, more grammar reinforcement. Look at landmarks that still existed today. Another that clause. That still existed today defines which landmarks, not just any landmarks, the ones that still exist. This is what defining relative clauses do. They narrow down the meaning. Now, here is a nice connection to what we covered earlier. Remember the word route from sentence 2? Lena traced the route, the same route from the faded map. The story is building on itself. The plot thickens. Lena has confirmed the map is real. What does she do next? 2 more sentences to go. Here is sentence 5. She planned an expedition to the place where the map said a hidden cave was located. Let me read it again. She planned an expedition to the place where the map said a hidden cave was located. Oh, this is getting exciting. Let's look at the word expedition. An expedition is a journey organized for a specific purpose, usually to explore or discover something. Scientific expeditions go to the Arctic. Mountain expeditions climb high peaks. Lena is planning her own expedition to find this hidden cave. Think about it. Is an expedition the same as a trip? Not exactly. A trip can be for fun. An expedition has a mission, a goal, a purpose. Now the grammar. Look at the place where the map said a hidden cave was located. Here we have a new relative pronoun, where. We use where when the noun is a place. Who for people, that and which for things, and now where for places. The place where the cave was, the city where I grew up, the park where we met. Where tells us about a location. This is our fourth relative pronoun in this lesson. You now have a complete set. Can you think of a sentence using where? How about, this is the restaurant where we had dinner? See how natural that sounds? And notice, the place where the map said a hidden cave was located. There is a lot happening in this clause. The map said something about a cave being in a specific place. The relative clause puts all that information together in one smooth sentence. This is the power of relative clauses. They connect ideas efficiently. We are at the final sentence. Let's see how Lena's story ends. And here is our final sentence. Lena was thrilled. She had found a real adventure that was waiting to be explored. One more time. Lena was thrilled. She had found a real adventure that was waiting to be explored. What a fantastic ending. Let's look at the word thrilled. When you are thrilled, you are extremely happy and excited. It is stronger than happy or pleased. Lena did not just feel good about this. She felt amazing. She was thrilled. Think about a time when you received great news. Maybe you got a job or you passed an important exam. That intense feeling of excitement and joy, that is being thrilled. Now, the grammar. Our final sentence gives us one more that clause, an adventure that was waiting to be explored. Which adventure? Not just any adventure, the one that was waiting to be explored. And notice waiting to be explored uses the passive voice in a very natural way. The adventure is not exploring. It is being explored by someone. So let's take a step back. In this lesson, you have learned 4 relative pronouns: who, that, which, and where. Each one connects extra information to a noun. Together, they are one of the most powerful tools in English grammar. And here is a beautiful connection to the beginning of our story. Remember how Lena stumbled upon the bookshop in sentence 1? That accidental discovery has led her to a real adventure. From a dusty little shop to a thrilling expedition. What a journey. All right, now let's listen to the entire story one more time from beginning to end. Just listen and follow along. Lena, who loved old books, stumbled upon a dusty shop that sold secondhand novels. Inside one of the books, she found a faded map that showed a route through the mountains. Lena was intrigued by the map, which had symbols that belonged to an old explorer's society. She traced the route on the map and recognized several landmarks that still existed today. She planned an expedition to the place where the map said a hidden cave was located. Lena was thrilled. She had found a real adventure that was waiting to be explored. What a wonderful story. And that is a wrap for Lesson 2. You did an incredible job. Let's look at everything you learned in this lesson. Vocabulary. You learned 10 new words: stumbled upon, dusty, faded, route, intrigued, belonged to, traced, landmark, expedition, and thrilled. 10 words. Grammar. We covered defining relative clauses with 4 different relative pronouns: who for people, that for things, which for things in formal contexts, and where for places. That is a huge grammar toolkit you now have. Now head over to the quiz section to test yourself. After that, head to the role play section. Practice your own expedition and use those relative clauses to describe what you find. See you in Lesson 3, where we will explore a new story set in a mysterious forest. Bye for now.